Hi, my loves. Welcome back to Soul Light Reflections. Today, we're going to dive into something that's really big, but also pretty subtle. I want to talk about the things that might be hidden that are actually keeping you sick, keeping you stuck, keeping you looping, and feeling totally disconnected from expansion. And half the time, we don't really realize that these are the reasons. And it feels really important to talk all about self-awareness and nervous system safety and aligned relationships and how all of these pieces to the puzzle really fit together when you're trying actively to heal and to grow and to step into that most authentic, genuine, radiant version of self. As I'm sharing about this, I'm going to weave in some of my own journey because, I'm always sharing pieces of my own journey in these episodes, but I want you to just have an intention while listening to this episode that you will take what resonates and just leave the rest. So let's just dive right in and talk about the pieces that most of us tend to overlook, like the things that we a lot of times normalize so deeply that we don't even connect them to the symptoms that are happening in your mind, in your body, in your spiritual life, or maybe the burnout that you're feeling, or maybe the emotional heaviness that you feel on a day-to-day basis. Because a lot of us know the really big things that are weighing on us that are causing a lot of these things. But I believe that those really big things sometimes are easier to metabolize and recognize than the little tiny misalignments that happen every single day that we actually just get used to and assume are no big deal. So these might be things like being in a job that you hate, or even just a job that you don't really feel like there's any passion or purpose, or you can't be yourself in it. Another example might be sticking in a relationship or a friendship for no other reason than I've been with them for a long time. I'm comfortable, right? Another one that I think way too many people might be actually aware that they're doing this, but may not give it the weight that it deserves, is eating foods that your body does not agree with, but then refusing to believe that that's what's causing some of your issues. It's causing disharmony in your body, which is then causing disharmony in your mind and your spirit. Saying yes constantly when your entire being, your mind, your body, your spirit are a fuck no, or maybe even that is a no. And when we are constantly saying yes, when we know deep down in our heart that it doesn't feel good, that's a misalignment. Living in a home environment that feels unsafe or feels really heavy or feels really chaotic or feels really unpredictable. Ignoring financial stress and pretending that it's not affecting you. Big one. Clinging to an old identity. I think this is one that is so huge. A lot of times when we heal from something like people pleasing or surviving through some sort of chronic illness, or we heal from perfectionism, we don't necessarily take the time and the energy to fully grieve that version of self. And you might think okay, why would I grieve that? I don't want to be that person anymore. Why would I grieve them? But chances are there are a lot of things about that version of yourself that you might be missing subconsciously. So an example might be, if you are someone who has healed through chronic illness, maybe you got a lot of support during that time. Maybe you had people who were always willing to do things for you. And once you heal, you're oh, I can do a lot of these things for myself. And then there's maybe this thing in the back of your mind that's oh, I'm not getting support in the same way anymore. And you might need to actually grieve that. Or for me, I let go of my old social media handles about 1.5 years ago. And I had, between TikTok and Instagram, over 20,000 followers. And I let go of them because I knew that I needed to be this newer embodied version of self. And I didn't want to be tied to the content that I had put on those platforms anymore. I wanted to start fresh. And it wasn't that those things were bad. It just was that doesn't feel like me anymore. But I still go through periods of time where I'm grieving that version of self. I look back and I'm whoa, that is crazy. That doesn't even seem like me anymore. And so if we don't give ourselves the time, like I could definitely subconsciously be clinging onto that identity and be like, she had so many followers. She had so many good things to say. Like, what am I doing wrong? So that could, if I was doing that, lead to more disharmony in my mind, my body, my spirit, and lead to more misalignment. That was a really long example. So another example is scrolling endlessly and calling it rest. Being like, oh, I'm just resting. And you're literally just like every new video, right? We've all been there. But if that is like your norm and you're doing it every single day, misalignment. So there are many more examples that I could give, but I want that to start to jog your perception of what a small daily misalignment could be. And all of these things keeps your body in a stress response without you even realizing it. And the thing is, your body will always tell you when something is off. Your body keeps the score. Your nervous system keeps the score. And most of the time, we just get really good at ignoring it. We're just like, oh, it's fine. I just deal with a stomachache every single day. I just have anxiety. I'm just a depressed girl, It's not cute. I'm sorry. It's not cute. We need to build self-awareness. That is always the first step because you can't shift something that you don't acknowledge. We have to know that something is misaligned in order to change it. So take inventory of your own life, of all of these things and maybe other things that could be micro misalignments. The thing is that taking the steps to change it is a totally different story. And there are so many times that we know that something needs to shift, but our body doesn't necessarily feel like safe enough yet. And sometimes we are kind of like self-sabotaging because we're like afraid of the consequences. Like we're afraid of hurting people. We're scared to like be a new version of self. We're scared of who might fall out of our life. We're scared of what might happen. Sometimes we don't trust ourselves enough. But that doesn't mean you're failing. It actually just means that you're human. Take a moment. Take it in. I'm human. You have to trust your own process and you have to trust your intuitive or like your divine timeline. And you have to know that your body will know when it's ready, when it feels safe enough to actually take that action. The first step is awareness. That comes first. The action comes next. We got to sit with that awareness first. And usually the gap between the awareness and actually taking steps towards what you know needs to happen towards more alignment, that is like, that is the juiciness of the healing because that you're aware and you're priming yourself to really take those steps. That is where the magic happens, in my opinion. The juiciness is in regulating your nervous system so that you feel safe enough to move forward. This is the piece that a lot of people happen to skip, maybe not intentionally, but it's like you have the awareness, you know exactly what's misaligned. You might even know what needs to happen next, but a lot of times we go in this like freeze mode and we don't move forward with setting boundaries, with making a change, with cutting off the relationship, with changing our habits, with changing our self-perception, unless we feel safe enough in our nervous system to move forward. You're not going to. So I wanted to include in this episode some really simple and accessible ways that we can create that safety. And these are like really tangible. These aren't like go to a cold plunge 3 times a week or I don't know, whatever. Actually, fun fact, cold plunge can actually be really detrimental to your nervous system if you are already in an unsafe state, but that's a whole other story. So here are some super simple, tangible ways that we can start to create safety. And this is where, again, a lot of the juiciness is because when we're practicing these things daily, oh my gosh, subconscious, your body, everything starts to just like fall into alignment without us having to work super, super hard. These are really simple. So first example is just literally simple little pauses throughout your day, just to like breathe. And I'm talking like 2 deep breaths. Take a little couple second pause. Let's take a deep breath together. Deep breath in through the nose, hold at the top for just a second, and then breathe out through your mouth. Literally just like that. That's all it takes. Multiple times throughout your day. Another one is placing one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly, and just sitting with that, again, for a few seconds. You could practice taking walks without your phone, even if it's for like 5 minutes at a time. So many people, when they walk their dog, are just like staring at their phone, right? What if you leave your phone at home? This is one that I practice every single day. Having a grounding moment by just putting your bare feet on the earth is so powerful. Sometimes we don't have access to that, in the winter, things like that. So that's okay. That's why there's a bunch of other examples too. If you have someone who feels safe in your life, hugging them, leaning on them, holding hands, just maybe even sitting close to them, sharing a meal, sharing words, dancing with them, that can be really powerful. Dimming your lights or reducing any sort of sensory input if you're feeling overwhelmed in any way. This is one that I think is super underrated because a lot of times we are in this kind of fight, flight, or freeze state and we have a hard time accessing like, what do I need right now? And so simply taking away certain aspects of their sensory environment can be so powerful. So like I said, that can mean dimming lights. That can mean maybe taking your clothes off. Maybe your clothes feel kind of scratchy or tight or whatever. So thinking about all the senses essentially. Maybe you have incense burning or something that's just like too strong, or maybe vice versa. You might need incense burning so that you can like not think about the other sense happening around you. Maybe putting on soft music or making it silent if you're able to is another way of changing your sensory environment. Super quick journal brain dumps can be helpful. So if you don't have a journal nearby or like the thought of having a journal just like freaks you out or like feels overwhelming, fine. Simply pull out your phone really fast, open notes, and write down a couple things that are like on your brain. Or grab the nearest piece of paper and a pen and just kind of scribble. And the thing about this one is it doesn't even have to be words. It does not have to make sense. As long as you know the energy of what you're outputting and like getting out of your brain, that's what matters. So you could literally grab a piece of paper and just scribble on it. And as you're thinking about the thing, you're still energetically getting it out. And same thing on your phone. You could just like type random ass letters and still be energetically getting the thing out of your brain and like out of your nervous system. I kind of already mentioned this, but regulating through music is really powerful. Like whatever kind of music is going to shift your frequency to whatever it is that you're calling in. Humming and sighing and singing and breathing activates your vagus nerve, which again helps you to feel safe. Humming is a really, really powerful practice, and you don't even have to hum like a specific tune. Sometimes it can be fun too, but you can literally just sit there, and there's a reason that Om is a very powerful mantra, very powerful way to calm the body within the yoga practice. So it might feel silly, but it is insanely powerful because you're literally sending vibrations through your entire body, and those vibrations can help you to feel really, really grounded. Shaking is one of my favorite ways to release energy, or even just like gentle movement, like rolling your shoulders. Try it right now. Just a little roll to your shoulders, maybe a little shimmy, maybe just like shaking your hands out a little bit, flicking your fingers, maybe rolling your head. All of this releases stagnant energy, and that is a really good way to find more safety and more depth in the body. So the point here being that you don't need like some crazy 10-step protocol. All you need is little tiny consistent cues throughout the day that tell your body like, hey, we're safe. It's time to move forward, or we're getting closer to moving forward. I want to also talk about the people in your life. I kind of mentioned this when I was talking about like finding someone safe in your life to like hug or sit next to or dance with. But the people that you surround yourself with matter so much more than you think, not just in like your general healing, but in health too, and in finding that safety. And I think an important note here is that it's so easy for people to love you when you're your authentic and light self, when you're shining, when you're grounded, when it's just like easy to be around you. But my question for you is, how do they meet you when your shadow side comes out? Your shadow side being the parts of self that are kind of always there, that are gonna come out when you're feeling unsafe, when you're feeling uneasy, when you're feeling more stressed, when you're feeling more disappointed. For me, I know that my shadow self is nitpicky. She likes to micromanage people. She likes to judge people. And it is important to recognize the people in your life. Yes, of course, they can love you and hold you and support you when you're like light and bubbly or whoever you are. When your shadow self comes out, how do these people approach you? Do they shame you? Do they ignore you? Pull away from you? Get uncomfortable? Maybe disappear? Or do they hold you? Do they hold space for you? Do they help guide you back to your light? Do they remind you, hey, this is your shadow speaking, and I still love you? Do they lovingly check on you? And do they lovingly check you? Such as, like I said, hey, this isn't really you right now. What's going on? That's how you know who's actually aligned. We're humans. Your shadow's going to come out sometimes. Even the lightest, most enlightened person, our shadows come out. It's part of the beauty of this journey. It's a beautiful contrast, and it's supposed to happen. Every time that shadow comes out to play, it's part of what creates that growth and that depth and that intimacy in your relationships and your friendships. Just remember that the people that are truly aligned for you will meet every single part of you. Not just the easy ones, not just the ones that are easy to love, easy to hold. No, they will hold space for all of it. Now, that being said, obviously, if you're always letting your shadow come out to play and you never check yourself and you're not having that self-awareness, well, they might eventually be like, all right, dude, enough is enough. Figure it out. So for me, an aligned relationship in life is where my own story really ties in, because my health journey, my autoimmune journey really did a 180 after I met Max. I feel like he was such a key part of me regulating my nervous system even deeper. Part of this human journey is we're always going to be shown how to go deeper and deeper and deeper. And it's beautiful. For the first time after I met him, I had found so much safety and love and genuine support in a relationship. This kind of support, this kind of man that I didn't even know fully existed or was possible. And that allowed me, and has continued to allow me, to heal so many subconscious beliefs that I had about relationships and men and love. I genuinely was convinced that relationships like this did not actually exist. I was like, oh, that's just Instagram life. People are lying. They're only showing the best parts, because I had been in such toxic relationships prior that I was shocked when it showed up. This is a whole other topic, but I kind of gaslit myself at the beginning. Okay, there's gotta be something wrong. Something's going to go wrong. I truly believe that I found this relationship, that we found each other again in this lifetime, because of the deep inner work that I had done through my health journey and everything that I had learned from my past relationships and my past marriage. I learned how I needed to show up in a relationship. I learned through that whole process what I deserve. I learned how I need others to show up for me and how I expect them to show up for me, and that I'm not bad for expecting them to show up in a certain way. Most importantly in all of that, though, I learned how to show up for myself through my health journey. That level of inner work that I did for years made me available for a relationship that actually supported my healing and didn't add to my stress. Your relationships, your friendships should not add to your stress. I hear people all the time say, oh, well, relationships are just hard. I'm sorry, but my relationship is so fucking easy. And I'm not saying that we don't have tough times or times when we have misunderstandings or when we have arguments. Of course we do. We're fucking human. That being said, it does not add stress to my life on a daily basis or even an hourly basis. It doesn't add any stress to my life. I would say in a week time, it adds maybe 2 minutes of stress because of, I don't know, some stupid thing that happened. And then I talk to him about it and we're good. So in general, the people who are in your life who are actually aligned, they're not going to add more stress. They're going to meet you where you're at. They're going to help you feel seen, help you feel supported. And that's that. Point being, during my health journey, the more that I aligned with my most authentic, most radiant, most genuine self, the more the right people just like started flowing into my life. Because when your frequency shifts, the people that you meet are going to shift too. The situations you're put in are going to shift. The experiences you have are going to shift. Your environments are going to need to shift. So the more regulated that I was able to become, the more that I trusted myself, the more that I upheld boundaries, the more that I healed, the more whole I felt. The more that I attracted people who were also anchored in their growth and supporting and loving. Alignment calls in alignment. Always. That's the way it works. Like attracts like, right? Now, even now, I'm still on the journey. I'm no better than anyone else. I'm no more enlightened than anyone else. Like, we're all just going through this together and on our own. Right now, I am actually learning in my own journey how to be even more firm in my boundaries. I'm learning how to recognize when I'm being taken advantage of. A fun journey. I'm learning how to balance compassion with discernment. Because the issue is that I really do see the best in people. I always give everyone the benefit of the doubt. I can see through to their soul. And that ends up hurting me. I get taken advantage of a lot. I actually saw a post today of this girl saying, don't fall in love with people's souls. You need to also recognize the humanness. I tend to always believe the highest version of someone is what's always present. What I can see, their soul shining through, is always present, but that's just not the fact. And I am learning that not everyone is meant to have full access to your energy and that you can't help everyone. And growth means being honest about that, being honest with yourself. And so this is like my current deepening of self-awareness is refining my boundaries and trusting my intuition even more and choosing myself without feeling guilty. I don't have to feel guilty because I am not aligned with helping someone because they are actually taking advantage of my kindness and my compassion and my empathy. So to wrap this all up, I want you to remember that healing is not one moment. It's not in one thing. It's not in one lesson. We are constantly recalibrating. We are unfolding throughout our entire life. We're deepening and deepening and deepening over and over and over, deeper and deeper. The things that are keeping you stuck or sick are almost always the things that you've actually kind of learned to normalize, whether it was intentional or not, whether you just were like, well, I guess I just have to deal with it and learn how to deal with it. And then you did, or whether it was like a societal thing or a familial thing where people convinced you or society convinced you like not to worry about it. Those are probably the things that are sick or stuck. And you need to start with self-awareness. You need to realize the things that are keeping you sick or stuck first. You need to recognize the things that are no longer aligned for you right now. And that doesn't mean that they weren't aligned for you to begin with. They might have been, and they might just not be aligned anymore. When we find safety in our nervous system, that helps us to start to take action steps, to start to walk through it. And that nervous system safety takes time to accumulate, and it happens in very small actions every day, like the ones that we went over. Another thing to remember is that aligned relationships are like such a beautiful support for the journey. And that you'll find those aligned relationships when you start shining your authenticity out there. Because that's what's going to attract everything that you are meant to experience in this life. So I want to leave you with a reflection, soul light reflections. What subtle misalignment in your life might be draining your energy without you even realizing it? Once you get honest about that, it is wild the shifts that will happen. And remember that your body is always going to tell you the truth. The more we tune into the body, the more we're going to be able to tap into the spirit and the mind. You are allowed, and I encourage you, to choose a life that feels good. Choose things in your life that feel good. Choose experiences that feel good. Choose people that feel good. Choose things that feel like a fuck yes. If it does not feel like a fuck yes, like I'm getting chills, I'm getting tingles, I'm so excited about this, it's probably a no. And like, that's okay. Say no. Your healing is unfolding exactly on time. Trust divine timing. Start with that self-awareness. Move into the nervous system healing. and then watch the alignment just kind of happen for you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for holding this space. Thank you for choosing yourself. Until next time, keep shining, keep aligning. We'll talk super soon.